Could she open the door, or would it still be there, waiting for her? Months had passed since the fateful day she found him dead. A note had been found on the kitchen table. His body was in the garage. "Dear family," the note read, "I'm sorry that it's come to this. Sometimes you sink too deep. You realize you are the problem, and there's no other way of solving it. Just know this isn't your fault. Laura, keep pushing Meredith to complete those book reports. That's why her English grade has gone down. She's a bright girl. She can do it. I love you all. Goodbye." And that was it. No flowery language. No dramatics. Just a note written by the practical father she always knew. She had found her father's corpse laying on a tarp beside the workbench in the garage. The tarp was laid out for easy disposal of the body. Her father had thought it all through, you see. Nobody saw the tragedy coming. Her father had been successful in his career and involved in his family life. A person's life can be complicated. The mind contains chambers where dark secrets can be concealed, taking root and poisoning that which surrounds it. She stood before the door. She thought, could he still be in there? Logic argued against that idea, of course. Her mother had identified his body in the morgue. A funeral had taken place. Meredith had even visited the grave a week ago. If logic prevailed, nothing should be behind that door but a cold cement floor and gardening tools. Despite logical reasoning, her emotions told her something very different. Her knees felt weak and shaky. Her heart raced. Her stomach twisted and knotted, and the room was in a nauseous spin. She could barely breathe. It felt like a metal band constricted her chest. All these emotions indicated to her something terrible lay behind that door. She had to know. She had to prove that logic would prevail, that nothing truly resided in that garage, haunting it. Meredith grasped the doorknob, squeezing her palm against the cold surface. Her heart pounded so hard it thumped in her ears, a feeling that her head might explode. She turned the knob and pulled the door slightly open. The hinges creaked. She listened, but heard nothing except for the mild hum of the air conditioning unit. The weed eater leaned against the wall by the descending cement steps. She saw a small ant meandering on the top step, and an absurd thought popped in her mind, making her nervously giggle. "Hello, Mr. Ant. Can you tell me if something horrible is in there? 1 click of your mandibles if yes. 2 for no. If yes, I'll turn right around and get out of here." She was so close. Just a couple more steps, and all this would be over. She just needed to look, for a few seconds, to prove nothing was there, and then she never had to do it again. She pushed the door open, and nearly stumbled as she came down the first step. Yes, she could do it. She could confront. What she saw caused her to gasp and fall back. No way was she truly seeing what she was seeing. It couldn't be true. There his body lay on a tarp below the woodworking bench, just like when she had originally found him. One arm was outstretched, and a Glock 9mm lay by the gnarled hand. His head was cocked back, and glassy, dead eyes gazed up at her. A limp tongue protruded and dangled over the top corner of his lip. "Dad?" Meredith said, voice trembling. The horrified nausea swept through her again, nearly causing her to vomit. The body twitched. The tongue flopped back and forth. The legs of her father's corpse began to lift and pushed the body toward her. A blood trail smeared along the cement floor as the corpse stiffly wriggled toward her like an obscene worm. A malevolent, silvery life ignited in her father's eyes as the outstretched hand began to reach for her ankle. A garbled mumbling seemed to ooze from the mangled mouth as the tongue flopped back and forth. Meredith screamed. She frantically scooted backwards through the doorway, kicking at this fiend who was a wretched masquerade of her father. Once through, she slammed the door shut by kicking it and rolled into the nearby table. She shivered and shrieked, flinging her arms out in defense as if the gnarled hand was still trying to grab her. All was quiet, however, except for Meredith's own frightened noises. There were no sounds on the other side of the door, no pounding or mumbling. Did I imagine it? She thought. It had seemed so real. It was very real in her mind. Meredith, what happened? Are you okay? Her mother called. Yes, Mom, she answered. It was real enough. She'd never enter the garage again.